The team gathered around the glowing object, their hearts pounding. It wasn't just a chunk of gold or a shiny coin. It was something crafted. Intricate lines ran across its surface. Carvings, symbols, and geometric designs unlike anything they had ever seen before. Each stroke looked deliberate, almost mathematical, as if whoever created it was sending a message through time. Rick knelt down beside it, brushing away the last bits of dirt. "Look at this," he said softly. "These aren't random marks. Someone wanted this to be found." Gary, still gripping his metal detector, stared in disbelief. "I've seen coins, jewelry, relics, but never anything like this." Marty, ever the pragmatist, stepped forward. "Let's not jump to conclusions," he said. "We need experts, real analysis." Within hours, the news spread like wildfire. Cameras from the production crew caught every angle, and word reached historians, archaeologists, and scientists across the world. By morning, helicopters thundered above the island, bringing in teams from universities and government agencies. The artifact was carefully lifted out of the pit and placed on a secure examination table under a white tent. Every movement was filmed, documented, and measured. An elderly archaeologist, flown in from Europe, bent over the object and adjusted his glasses. "The craftsmanship," he murmured. "This isn't colonial. It predates that by centuries." Another expert, a metallurgist, scanned the object with a portable spectrometer. The results flickered on his screen, and his eyes widened. "This metal, it's not pure gold. It's fused with trace elements of silver and copper, but the structure's too perfect. No air pockets, no casting flaws." He looked up slowly. "Whoever made this did it with technology we don't understand." A hush fell over the tent. Everyone exchanged glances, a mix of awe and disbelief. Then came the archaeologist's second revelation. He pointed at a carving near the base of the object, a pattern of stars connected by lines. "This," he said, "is sacred geometry. I've only seen it in Templar relics from the 13th century." The name sent a chill through the air. The Knights Templar. A secretive order rumored to have hidden their treasures across Europe and beyond after being exiled and hunted down. Legends claimed they carried gold, relics, and even ancient knowledge across the Atlantic long before Columbus. Marty folded his arms. "So, you're saying the Templars could have buried this?"
The archaeologist hesitated. "I'm saying the symbols match, and if that's true, this could rewrite history." Suddenly, shouts erupted from outside the tent. Security guards were waving off reporters who had arrived by boat. Drones buzzed overhead, filming the excavation site. The story was out, and the world was watching. Then, without warning, 3 black SUVs rolled onto the island. Men in dark suits stepped out, flashing government credentials. Rick walked toward them, his expression tense. "What's this about?" he asked. One of the agents replied firmly, "The artifact you've discovered has been classified as an object of national and historical significance. From this moment forward, the site is under federal protection. All further excavation is to cease immediately." "What?" Marty protested. "This is our dig site, our discovery." The agent didn't flinch. "Sir, this is no longer a private matter." Within minutes, yellow tape surrounded the pit. Armed personnel took over, securing the artifact inside a reinforced case. The crew watched helplessly as a helicopter descended, its rotors whipping the air into chaos. The golden relic, the proof they had spent their lives searching for, was loaded aboard and flown away. Rick stood motionless, his face pale. Marty placed a hand on his shoulder. "They can't just take it," Rick whispered. They just did. The island fell silent once again. The cameras were shut off, equipment packed away. But even as officials left, questions remained, and whispers of conspiracy began to grow. Part 3. The Secrets Beneath the Island. Within days, rumors exploded online. Leaked footage of the golden artifact circulated across social media, grainy clips showing its strange carvings and radiant glow. Reddit threads filled with speculation. Some claimed it was Templar gold, others said it was extraterrestrial. But then a new twist emerged. An anonymous source leaked a scientific report, a metallurgical analysis allegedly from the artifact. It claimed the metal's crystalline structure didn't match any natural gold alloy on Earth. Its internal symmetry was geometric, mathematically perfect. Scientists were baffled. One researcher wrote, "If this report is real, we're dealing with technology centuries ahead of its time." Rick and Marty refused interviews. For weeks, they stayed quiet, until one night, Rick gathered a few trusted crew members in the old war room. He spread a large map of Oak Island across the table. "Look here," he said, pointing to a small area near the money pit. "This magnetic anomaly, it lines up with where we found the artifact. But there's another one, deeper, just 50 yards away." Marty leaned over the map. "You think there's more down there?" Rick nodded. "I think what we found was just the beginning." They decided to continue, in secret.
Just handheld scanners, ground radar, and quiet determination. Under the pale moonlight, the crew began scanning. Hours passed with nothing but the sound of wind and waves, until Gary's detector let out a piercing tone. Beep, beep, beep. Emma checked the radar screen. "There's a void under us. Rectangular chamber about 20 feet deep." Rick's pulse quickened. "Mark it. We start digging at sunrise." By dawn, shovels hit the earth. Layer by layer, they unearthed the ground until the metal struck something solid. A hollow thud echoed underground. Gary brushed away the dirt, and there it was again. Metal. But this time, not gold. A dull, silver sheen. Emma whispered, "It's a lid, or a door." Symbols appeared along the edges, the same Templar markings, but more complex. Rick placed his hand on the surface. It was cold, humming softly, as if alive. "Do you feel that?" he asked. They all nodded. With careful effort, they pried the lid open. A wave of ancient cold air escaped, and beneath, a small chamber shimmered in the flashlight beam. In the center stood a silver sphere, perfectly smooth, reflecting every face that looked upon it. The walls of the chamber were carved with constellations, maps, and strange symbols that no one could decipher. Marty stared. "This can't be real." Rick whispered, "It's been waiting for us." The team lowered a drone inside for a closer look. As it hovered near the sphere, the lights flickered, the camera glitched, then a pulse of white light filled the screen. When the image returned, something had changed. The carvings on the walls were glowing faintly, forming patterns that looked like coordinates. Emma froze. "That's not random. It's a map." Rick leaned closer to the screen. "Those coordinates, they're not here. They're across the ocean." A silence filled the room. Oak Island, it seemed, wasn't the final destination. It was the beginning of something much bigger. That night, Rick stood by the shore, watching the dark waves crash against the rocks. The wind whispered through the pines, carrying a feeling he couldn't shake, that this discovery was never meant to be just about gold. He looked out into the endless horizon and said softly, "Maybe the treasure was never about wealth. Maybe it's a message from the past." The room was filled with tension as the last frame from the drone replayed on Emma's laptop. Those glowing coordinates hovered like ghostly lights, faint but unmistakable. Rick stared at them in silence, his fingers tracing the pattern on the screen. Marty finally spoke. "Do we know where that points to?" Emma zoomed in, running the image through mapping software. The room fell silent as the globe spun slowly, then stopped. The coordinates aligned with a point deep in southern France, near Rennes Chateau. Rick's eyes widened. France, that's Templar territory. The room buzzed with disbelief. Rennes Chateau, long rumored to be the hiding place of the Knights Templar's greatest secrets,
a place connected to strange legends of buried treasure, coded parchments, and lost relics of the church. Gary muttered, "You're saying what's under Oak Island is linked to that?" Rick nodded slowly. The Templars were masters of secrecy. If they hid something here, it wasn't by accident. Maybe Oak Island was a vault, a part of a much bigger network. Marty frowned, and the government just took the key to it. For a long moment, no one spoke. The sound of wind against the tent flaps was the only thing breaking the silence. Then Rick said quietly, "We're going to France." Part 5. The Hidden Connection. A few weeks later, the Lagina brothers and their closest crew arrived in France under the radar. No press, no fanfare. They weren't there as TV hosts anymore. They were there as explorers, following a trail centuries old. Rennes Chateau was a small hilltop village, quiet, mysterious, and filled with whispers of conspiracy. Locals spoke of secret tunnels beneath the old church, built in the 1800s by a priest rumored to have discovered something so powerful he became rich overnight. Rick stood in the churchyard, staring at the cryptic Latin inscriptions on the walls. "They say the priest found ancient scrolls hidden beneath the altar," he murmured. "Documents that mentioned a treasure buried far across the sea." Emma held up her tablet, showing the 3D overlay of the Oak Island symbols. "Look at this pattern," she said. "The carvings on the golden artifact, they match the layout of this village." The others leaned in, speechless. The geometry of Oak Island's pits and tunnels mirrored the old map of Rennes Chateau. The same shapes, the same alignments, as if the two sites were designed by the same hands. Marty whispered, "This isn't coincidence." That night, they met with a local historian named Jacques Moreau, one of the few experts still studying Templar roots across Europe. When Rick showed him the photos of the artifact in the sphere, Jacques' face went pale. "I've seen this pattern before," he said. "It's the seal of Solomon, used by the Templars to mark their most sacred relics. They believed it was a symbol of divine geometry, a bridge between heaven and earth." Rick asked quietly, "So what were they protecting?" Jacques hesitated before answering. "Not gold. Knowledge. The kind that could change everything we know about history, maybe even about humanity." Marty exchanged glances with Rick. It sounded impossible, but after what they had seen, nothing seemed impossible anymore. Part 6. The Revelation Below. The next day, guided by Jacques, they explored an old Templar site outside the village, the ruins of a 12th century commandery. Hidden beneath the stones, Jacques said, was a sealed crypt discovered decades ago but never opened. The team brought scanners and ground-penetrating radar, the same tools they had used on Oak Island. After hours of scanning, Emma spotted something on her monitor. "There's a chamber down there," she said. "Same depth, same structure, rectangular, just like the one we found on the island." Rick's voice trembled. "Then it's true. They built these in pairs." By nightfall, they uncovered a narrow entrance, sealed with centuries of dust. The air that escaped was cold and heavy, as if time itself had been trapped inside. Rick descended first, flashlight trembling in his hand. At the bottom was a stone platform, and resting on it, another sphere. Not gold, not silver. This one was crystal clear, like glass, but pulsing faintly with inner light. Emma whispered, "It's the same design." Rick stepped closer, his reflection shimmering on the sphere's surface. As he reached out, the light inside the sphere brightened. Symbols began to appear, floating patterns, slowly forming words in Latin. Jacques read aloud,
custode veritatem ad finem temporum. He looked at Rick. It means guard the truth until the end of time. The chamber glowed brighter, the air vibrating softly. For a moment, everyone felt something. Not fear, not awe, but connection. Like they were standing in the presence of something vast, ancient, and conscious.
Rick whispered, "This isn't treasure. It's a message from the past. For us." Part 7. What Lies Ahead? When they returned to Nova Scotia, Oak Island was still under lockdown. The government's silence was total. But the Lagina brothers had seen too much to stop now. Rick placed the new coordinates on the wall beside the Oak Island map. Lines connected across oceans, forming a vast geometric pattern, one that stretched from France to Nova Scotia and beyond. Marty exhaled slowly. If these are real, there are more sites like Oak Island all over the world. Rick nodded, and every one of them holds a piece of the truth. He looked out toward the Atlantic, the horizon glowing faintly under the moonlight. "We've been digging for gold," he said. "But maybe what's buried out there is far greater. The story of who we really are." The camera zoomed out slowly, the island quiet, the waves calm, as if holding its breath. And somewhere beneath the soil, the hum returned. Faint, rhythmic, alive. Oak Island had not given up all its secrets. Not yet. Weeks passed after the team's return from France. The island remained sealed off, guarded day and night. News outlets called it a routine environmental investigation, but the crew knew better. Late one night, Emma received an encrypted message on her secure laptop. The sender's name was hidden, replaced only with a single symbol, the Seal of Solomon. She hesitated, then opened it. A series of video files began downloading, each marked classified, internal use only. Her heart raced as she clicked the first one. The footage was grainy, filmed inside the Oak Island chamber, just before the government sealed it. Men in black uniforms surrounded the golden sphere, now caged inside a transparent container. They were scanning it with unfamiliar devices, equipment she'd never seen before. Then came the moment that made her breath catch. The sphere began to rotate slowly on its own. Not mechanically. Not from vibration. It was alive. The lights flickered and a faint hum filled the chamber. Symbols of light rippled across the walls, just as they had in France. For a brief second, the video caught an image burned into the stone, a map of the stars, one not seen from Earth in over 1,000 years. The video ended abruptly. Emma sat frozen. The file name of the next video was shorter, just 45 seconds. It showed scientists in a dimly lit facility, studying the sphere from Oak Island and the crystal one from France, side by side. One of them spoke to the camera. "The objects emit identical energy signatures, frequencies that don't match any known element. We're detecting structured radiation, as if the energy itself carries information." Another voice interrupted. "We've compared the frequency pattern to star charts. The signal aligns perfectly with coordinates near the Orion constellation." The video cut off again, replaced by a warning screen. "Unauthorized access detected." Emma slammed the laptop shut. Rick and Marty rushed into the room. She looked up at them, pale and trembling. "They're communicating. The spheres. They're connected, across continents, maybe even across time." Rick's mind raced. If the artifacts were transmitting something, then Oak Island wasn't a vault. It was a beacon. Part 10. The Great Alignment. Over the next few nights, Emma and Rick worked in secret, cross-referencing the frequencies from the leaked data. They discovered something extraordinary. The signal pulsed in rhythm with the Earth's magnetic field. But every few days, the patterns shifted slightly. Then, on the third night, it stopped changing. Everything aligned perfectly. Rick checked the date. It was the spring equinox, the same day ancient civilizations across the world
used to align their temples, monuments, and pyramids. The realization hit him like lightning. These aren't random artifacts. They're part of a system, an ancient network that activates